When people ask you what interest rates are, what is your response? How do you go about that?
You need to speak with a lender because it depends on your situation, debt to income ratio, etc.
So I typically say, I make it sound a little bit more complicated because it is. So I always say there's so many factors that go into that, to let them know that there's so many factors that go into that.
Yeah.
And then I say, it's your debt to income, it's your loan to value, it's your credit score. We need to look at everything to even give you a number. But what I can give you is I can give you national averages. And that's how I end it every single time. So I will give them national averages and I will let them know it is 100% based off of a bunch of subsets put in and what everybody in the market is getting today. But I will never, ever quote an interest rate on the phone to anybody.
Well, also because too, doesn't it depend on which loan they're getting?
Yeah,
like
right.
if you don't know if they qualify for conventional or FHA or if they're a veteran, maybe it's VA, and all those interest rates are different.
Right, for sure. And so oftentimes too, if we're paying off debt, so Nikki and I have one that we are literally absorbing $50,000 worth of debt at closing to wipe it off, right? So I think we're ending up saving them like $1,400 a month in just debt alone. That's gonna change their DTI, which is gonna change their credit score. So until we do that, we wouldn't have no idea what their interest rate is. And if we didn't absorb that debt, we'd have to go FHA to have a higher DTI.
Also, speaking of the consolidating the debt, it wasn't until we started talking about it that makes so much sense. If somebody has motorcycles or cars or toys on a higher interest rate, it makes so much more sense to use that money to pay those off rather than put more down payment on a house, because it's saving them more money a month versus putting it down on a house where the interest rate's 6.87% versus they have a boat at 18%. It makes so much more sense to pay off those debts rather than put it towards the house.
Yeah. And so what we did with that particular borrower was we looked at, he and I shared screens and we looked at all of his liabilities. So we just spun up a Zoom and we said, let's look at it together so that he was on the same page as I was on. I did ask him to trust me in regards to how we were going to spend his money to pay off his debt. But we looked at the largest payment and the smallest liability. So for instance, he could invest $2,400 into paying off debt that afforded him back $412 a month in a payment. And that's significant because if he's only paying off such a small amount of principal to get such a large payment back, that's where we really saw the shift in his debt to income ratio and his affordability in a house.